Hey everybody, it's Josh Olive with Haven Comics. It's Thursday night, which means it's time for Shop Talk. And we've got a really fun one in store for you guys tonight. So stick around after we play this awesome video. Again, big shout out to Nick Ellis from Two Brothers Comics for that cool little intro video that makes me very happy every time I play it. We have got a really fun show for you guys tonight because we've got a fan favorite returning. Uh, you guys have asked for him, and we said, you know what, we'd love to have him back, and he was amenable. So we're bringing him back. Let us talk about the one, the only Mr. Mark Spears. What's happening, sir?
What's going on? Hello? Oh, yeah, there's all the fanfare. I love it.
Yeah, this actually goes on for a really long time. These guys, that's a standing ovation right there, brother.
Is Alan here tonight?
Alan is running late. He forgot his daughter's got something going on at dance school. So he's going to be about 30 minutes late. So if we want to talk about Alan, we can get that out of our system now.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. We can do that in 30 minutes now. That's great.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got a little bit of time to say all the things about Alan we really want to. Hey, what's happening, Tots? Good to see you, sir.
Hello.
Oh, Alan's hanging out in the comments. I guess we can't say too much.
Oh, man, no way. Yo.
I got a question for you.
All right.
Because I got this at the shop the other day, and this strikes me as the kind of thing that you should have if you don't have it.
Whoa.
It's and I say this for a couple of reasons, but one, the color on this Man Thing image on the back is so you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
is this concept art for the TV show that they did?
It's concept art. It's pictures of different character designs, monster sculpts.
Wow.
All kinds of stuff, including things like that.
Oh, my. Wow. That is amazing. I love the colors on that.
Again, the colors in here are so totally you. I feel like you should reach out and talk to them and say, hey, if you guys want to do a sequel, you want to do another one of these, I'm your man.
Yeah.
But if you want all the shots of the Man Thing as they were building it, and I mean tons and tons of pictures from all kinds of angles.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can get right up in there.
It's shocking that it's so colorful when they actually. I wonder
made
if
it in black and white.
Yeah, I wonder if that means after they did it, they decided to go the black and white route instead of beforehand when they were doing concepts. Because that's interesting. I know that they have the color version right now on Disney Plus. I know it was there before Halloween. I don't know if they took it down.
Yeah, I saw that they had that. I haven't watched it yet because I really liked it in black and white.
Yeah, I thought it. You didn't notice it in black and white. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those. After a few minutes, you didn't even notice that it was black and white. It was.
It had the vibe and the feel of one of those old movies from the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
And down to the special effects and the way that they did them, right?
Yeah.
It really felt like that, and doing that in color ruins it. It's like when Andy Griffith went from black and white to color; it just changed. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Barney Fife wasn't there, so it immediately went downhill.
But when you have it black and white, it's so much better for special effects. Because you don't have to worry, is the color going to match, because it's all black and white. So I wish there were more. It's a lost form, right? That no one does black and white anymore. I wish there were more experiments in it. I know they did. If you saw that Renfield movie with Nicolas Cage as Dracula, they did black and white in it for the opening.
Oh, I didn't. I haven't seen that.
Which basically they did the Bela Lugosi Dracula, but just inserted basically Nicolas Cage in those scenes. but it looked pretty good. It was the best special effects of the movie, I thought. So
I'm not surprised by that at all. Why am I still enormous? I mean, don't answer that. Oh, it did it again. I didn't even tell it to do that. Come on now.
how's Transformers and GI Joe going?
Well, it's funny that you should ask that because
Fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
I love that cover.
G.I. Joe against Cobra
They
and
almost look identical to the original cover.
it is the original cover. That's what makes this fun. This is a reprint of the first issue of G.I. Joe.
When I saw that online, I kept thinking, dude, that guy is so good at homages.
Well, here's the thing. This is a reprint of G.I. Joe #1.
Wow.
Except with a few minor changes. Apparently, there was an editor at Marvel who decided that he didn't like some of the dialogue or some of the descriptions that was in the book. So he made changes to Larry Hama's script.
Ooh.
And Larry was like, So all these years later, when he gets the opportunity, because Image is going to do a G.I. Joe #1 reprint, he said, I will only endorse it if you use my original script.
Wow.
And so they did. It really,
now I got to pick that up.
But it's awesome that we actually get his original vision for it, instead of some editor schmo who decided that he knew better. I mean, granted, that's his job at the time, right? But
did you say you had met him before, Larry Hama?
Larry Hama?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a character, man. He is. I'm trying to think of a diplomatic way to say this. Maybe he was not having the best day.
Okay.
But I get the impression that his general character is pretty prickly. He had at his table, this was at, I want to say it's his Dragon Con, whatever show. At his table, as you're waiting to come down through the line to see him, right? There's this 2 pages of questions and answers, like his FAQ, his frequently asked questions, right?
Right.
It's super snarky. But quite things like, why is your new stuff not as good as your old stuff?
Oh.
Answer. It is as good. Like, if I was getting asked questions like that, I might be prickly too.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
But yeah, I had a good talk with Jim Shooter about him at one point. And Jim Shooter said some interesting things. He goes, Larry Hama is a big wine connoisseur, which I didn't know. Big wine connoisseur, really loves good wine, has like a whole bunch of really good wine at his house, right? Well, apparently somebody broke into his house and stole some wine. And I want to say it happened a second time. And he goes, now, I don't know. Hey, Mike, what's happening, man? He says, now, I don't know for a fact that this is true, but the fact that I think it probably is true might tell you something. And I'm like, okay, what is it? He goes, as I know it and understand it, Larry Hama has rigged a booby trap to like one of his real expensive bottles of wine so that if you like take it off, you get blasted in the face with a shotgun.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, I don't know if it's true, but I think it could be.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, that is a dude you do not mess with right there.
I'm supposed to do a show in February, I think it is, in Virginia.
Okay.
And it's a group it'll be with Larry and what's the couple that were both that were at Marvel at one time? Simonson, ain't there two?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Walt and Wheezy. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them, and it's with this group, Good Alien, which I'm part of, and they are, and we'll be at the same booths. So,
dude, that is some incredible company.
Yeah, I'm
Holy
honored
smokes.
they picked me. But I was like, wow, I'll get to meet these people, so it's worth the trip to Virginia to do that. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Talk to Walt and Wheezy about, and Larry Hama too, for that matter, about coming to the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo, because for the love of all things holy, I've been trying to get a hold of Walt and Wheezy Simonson for years.
Well, now
they are tough.
I could pull some strength because with Good Alien, so they're hooked in with the people I'm hooked in with. So it's just one guy I have to talk to, and he can get them here if that's something. I thought they had already been here before. I didn't know. So
they have not, and Jeremy and I have both been trying for years to get them to come here.
Well, when we get done, I'll give you the email of the guy who's over all of that, and if it's a scheduling thing, they might be able to. There's even more people in that roster. We're all in this roster. He picks, who should go to this con, who should go to that, right? So it's like a scheduling thing. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe that's something that can happen. Because basically it's with, like I said, Good Alien is the name of it. So yeah, we'll talk after this is over, and I'll give you that.
That implies the existence of Bad Alien.
Yeah, there probably are some bad aliens out there. Alan, there's a
is
bad
Alan
alien
on that list? I thought maybe that was Rob Liefeld.
Oh man, I want to work with Rob one day.
I would actually love to talk to him. I give him a lot of grief. I think everybody does.
Well, and I think
but he also he's a really good sport about it.
Yeah, I think now he's now earlier in his career he might not have been, right. He might have been a little touchy on subjects like that. I think now he would be okay with it. You know how he embraces the whole Captain America chest drawing and stuff. He's fine.
And created a character called Pouches or Captain Pouch or whatever.
Yeah, I love that one. But when I was doing some of these homage covers lately, and I was doing some of Rob's, and I was I was studying like, why did he put this guy here, and why do I got to put that there and stuff, and that just made me remember though what a great time it was back when he was on like New Mutants, X-Force. Jim Lee was on X-Men, and Todd was on Spider-Man.
And
was
Mark
the best
Silvestri was on Wolverine.
Yeah. And then just a year or so later, you got them all in Image where there's still those big books. I mean, when Youngblood came out, I grabbed it. I grabbed Spawn. I grabbed Wildcats, all those books.
Now you're lying now because you didn't just grab it. You got 2 copies like all the rest of it.
Well, I don't know if I can afford it. Let's see. I think I did get some of them. Didn't some of them have? Did they not do any trick covers over there? I know Youngblood, you could flip it.
Right.
But Spawn just was regular Spawn.
Just a regular cover. Wildcats was just a regular cover.
Yeah, they did. That's weird that they didn't gimmick those, because you got to think the year before or whatever, when X-Force come out, X-Men, they gimmicked those. They had all the 4 X-Men on the X-Force. They had the different trading cards inside.
Yep.
So, but they sold anyways. They didn't have to gimmick those covers.
They did not. I know they put Mark Silvestri had a gimmick cover on Cyberforce number 4. That was the one that was just half of that dude's face. So half of it was all metallic and shiny. Yeah. And I know that because when we bought the stock that we used as the foundation to open Haven, we got 154 copies of Cyberforce number 4.
Oh my goodness.
One year we cut up a bunch of them and made a Christmas tree skirt out of them for the Christmas tree we had up in the shop. And after that, we just tried to give them away. It was very challenging. Can
you imagine ordering back then? I don't know what, because when I ordered comics, it was about 96, 97, around at that time. But when you're talking about ordering when Image come out, oh my gosh, I don't know how I would have done those orders.
You just print money.
I mean, it was just everybody wanted them. But then, I love watching those documentaries. I think there's 3 out there about Image, the formation of it. But it's not really the forming of it is what's interesting to me. It's the business side after it was formed.
Yes.
When they were like Rob has said, like it was printing money. Like whatever we put out, they grabbed. It didn't matter. So that does make a lot of sense. Like why there were so many of those Rob Liefeld books at one time that he wasn't doing though. He was giving them off to his other guys.
Yep. Merritt Michaels,
yes.
and Norm Rapmond, and all those guys were doing them. Yeah.
And I got those until the artwork. When the artwork started getting really bad, where I just didn't like it inside, I quit buying them. But for a while there, I got anything that was, if it looked kind of good, I would still get it. Like Brigade, I remember getting that.
Yep.
Profit. But and then the same thing happened over there with the other guys. Except Todd just kept doing Spawn, but they were branching off. Getting other people to do. So their own little studio was getting bigger. Wasn't that when Top Cow? That's when he formed Top Cow and stuff like that. So, but gosh, the orders, I mean, it's just amazing how many they were selling at that time. I just can't imagine. But then
it's funny that you bring that up though, because we're kind of coming up on something a little bit similar to that. It's definitely not as innovative. But have you seen what they're doing with Ghost Machine?
No.
Ghost Machine is a new publisher, I guess, although technically they're using Image for all their publishing stuff. It is a group of guys. It's all owned by the creators, right?
Uh-huh.
And here's some of the names off this list: Brad Meltzer, Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch, Gary Frank, Francis Manipool, Peter Tomasi, Jason Fabach. And they're saying that there's more who will be joining as soon as their
contracts are up.
Their exclusive contracts are up. And they will all be exclusive to Ghost Machine.
Wow.
So Gary Frank's book, Geiger, is being counted as the first Ghost Machine book.
Okay, I got that. That's where he's radioactive, right?
There's a new one that just came out, a new one-shot or
back of that,
something that just. It was a really good book, by the way.
Oh, I loved it.
But there's a new one that just came out that they're calling as the first Ghost Machine book.
Okay.
But you look at that list of creators, right? It's not quite as eye-popping as all of those artists leaving Marvel.
Yeah, that was a little different,
but it's a heck of a list.
Oh, it's and I asked Todd that one day, Todd McFarlane, why aren't there superstar artists anymore? Right? Because there's A-level artists like what you just named, a bunch of A-level. But superstar to me is what Todd was, the Image guys, right? They were superstars at that time. And his explanation was that it's a different time to where there's too many artists out there now. And that's the reason there's none. Because he says like the overseas opened up with the shipping. You don't have to ship your pages FedEx anymore. They're just in your email. So he said, it's because there's just too many artists out there now. I think, though, that does have something to do with it because, the field's bigger. There's too many artists maybe to where one shines above the others. But it's also they don't do the work that they used to do. Think about that.
That's also
Gary
true.
Frank still does that work. Gary Frank will do those pages and everything. But think about like if someone gets popular. Well, let's look at Scott Campbell and Mattiera, right? Joe Mad,
yeah.
Both of those two guys were huge, right? They were up there with like Todd, I think, and those guys in popularity. Right when they hit it big like that, they decided, well, I'm going and switch it. I'm not going to do a monthly grind book. I'm going to do covers. And I think Joe
and
went
video
into
games.
What now?
in video games, because
Oh,
that's what
video,
Joe
yeah.
Maduri
Joe
Aaron
went
went and did.
into video games. That's what he's doing, video game concept now. So it's more like that. I think if you do get big, like let's look at Alex Ross. He's another one that I call superstar artist. Everybody kind of knows who he is in comics. He does Kingdom Come, blows up. That was Kingdom Come was after Marvels, right? Marvels came out, was okay.
Yes.
Kingdom Come comes out, blows up, right? It's huge. He does Uncle Sam, pretty big, not like Kingdom Come though, not in sales wise and stuff. Okay, and he does a few things here and there. I love the Justice run he did, which he only painted over someone else's pencils at that time. And then he's done a few other things with the big size books and all that stuff. But he got to where he didn't have to do a monthly book. A lot of people don't want to do monthly books. It's too much work. So they'd rather do covers. Myself, I'm the opposite right now, where I want the paycheck to where I would rather get on a monthly book than do covers, because covers will pay, but I'm not established enough to where I can say, I want this X amount of dollars for a cover and I have those coming in or something. So it's more like I would love to get on a monthly book, because then you're guaranteed that paycheck that month, right? When I turn in these 22 pages, I'm going to get paid. So, but I think that's a little bit of why there's no huge superstar guys anymore. Of course, Gary Frank, to me, as an artist, that was one of my superstars, because I loved everything Gary Frank did.
Well, his
And
whole
Alan
run,
Davis.
Midnight Nation.
Yes,
that was
Midnight
all great.
Nation, I loved. Ken, what he did, K-I-N, I think it was. He did that over Image.
Yep.
That thing he did recently, what is it? Junkyard Joe?
Junkyard Joe, yeah.
Yep, love that. I mean, he's just great. I loved him when he was on Supergirl, when he did Hulk. Everything he's done is great. And his longevity, a lot of artists, as they get older, been in the business longer, their work tends to show, right? You can see that it's not as good as like John Byrne X-Men run versus John Byrne doing that Spider-Man run where he started Spider-Man over. Not the same artwork. Gary Frank today is just as good or better than Gary Frank 20 years ago.
Another one that's like that is Butch Geist.
Yes.
Butch Geist is as phenomenal now as he was then. Dude is amazing.
Yes, I love his stuff too.
He's one of those guys I've been trying to get on this show for a long time. I have admired his work forever. Dude is amazing.
Frank Cho, I love Frank Cho.
Yep.
He's been doing stuff for years. There's a lot of artists like that.
Mike Deodato Jr.
Oh yes, he's
Dude's
still doing
61 years old. He's buff as all get out. And I mean, do you follow his page at all?
Now I see his artwork when they publish it. Like I think they just did something for. Did he do something on Spawn recently? I thought he did a cover or something.
I want to say he did, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he's like a gym rat or something. He's 61 years old.
Wow.
He looks like he's no older than 40. And he's ripped all over. I mean, he takes naked pictures of himself. He's not like flashing anybody, but it's like just so you can see all the muscles. And then he uses himself as a model for superheroes.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, that is sick, man. Holy smokes. He is a phenomenal artist, and his work has just gotten better, and I don't understand it. I think he made a deal with the devil.
Didn't he do one of the Daredevil variant covers for Daredevil 1?
I don't remember. I know he's on The Flash right now, he's taking a break from AWA to do The Flash. Yeah. And I got to tell you, dude, The Flash right now is so good. Wonder Woman is so good. Nightwing, Titans, Batman, boom, boom,
DC
boom.
is firing on all cylinders right now, man. Their stuff is getting so much better.
Because they're focusing on character-driven stories and not stupid events. Night Terrors.
I think that was already scheduled. Even before Pep and Donna DC started, they were like, "Yeah, we gotta do that event." So they did it, but
over the summer, not even during the Halloween time of year.
Right? Ain't that something?
So I did finally get to read Flash #2, and we've never seen a Flash like this before.
No.
I mean, the character is the same. I mean, it's what you would expect of the Flash right now, but the story that he's in, we've never seen anything like this. And when I'm still not sure what those things were, they kind of referred to themselves as archangels.
Oh, you mean talking about the uncoiled or the stillness?
The stillness.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of referred to themselves as archangels, but there's parts of that book that it was almost like some type of acid flashback. I mean, it was kind of out there. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Have you paid any attention to what's happening in Flash right now, Mark?
Now, I was keeping up with some of the Superman stuff. I had heard Flash is great. I heard Wonder Woman was good and all that. So, but the Flash, so it's a big shake up over there, right? With those characters.
When they started with the new #1, Cy Spurrier's writing it, and instead of like, "Hi, I'm Captain Cold. I'm here to rob your bank, and I'm the Flash, and I'm super fast, and I'm going to outfast you, and I'm going to win," it's veering into cosmic horror.
Really?
Yeah, wow. In the coolest possible way, right? So Wally West is the Flash, and his powers are kind of glitchy a little bit, and he doesn't know what's going on or why. Gorilla Grodd and his people are like stealing stuff. They're just popping up in places, taking stuff and people, and then disappearing again. And he's trying to figure out what's going on with that. But the Speed Force seems to be a little glitchy. He's not sure what's happening. And then he runs into, in the first issue, these things called the Uncoiled, which are super nasty, really, really horrific things. In the second issue, you meet this other race that's called the Stillness. Get down with the stillness. But it's kind of funny because these are beings that exist outside of time and space. And so when they like kind of pay attention to these wackadoo little critters that run around that are so confined by time and space, and this one guy keeps popping in and out, and they're like, well, that's interesting. And he gets himself into this situation, and they're like, hey, cute little human, do you need a hand? You know, and he's like, what are you? Wow. And they're like, we thought he was different. He's just as dumb as the rest of them. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, and then with what Tom King has done with Wonder Woman,
so good.
You literally get a cameo of a new character in issue 1. And then you kind of don't think anything else about it. But then in issue 2, you've got Wonder Woman. It's telling 2 stories at one time.
Yeah, parallel story structure. It's really interesting.
That make perfect sense and go hand in hand the way he wrote them. And by the end of the story where Wonder Woman is still on Themyscira, you realize that character that had the cameo in the very first issue, you've been reading about her this entire time in the second issue when she takes her helmet off.
Oh, okay.
And when she takes her helmet off, her name was Amelia or Emily, something like that.
Yeah.
The first thing that popped in my head when she took the helmet off and it said her name, it was like, she needs her own book right now.
Wow.
I mean, in 2 issues, and you have ultimately no idea who this person is. Wow. You know, as far as like, you know, the type of character.
Other than she's an Amazon.
Yeah, other than she's an Amazon, and she is a hardcore warrior. But just the way he wrote it, you're just like, oh my God, she needs her own book immediately.
And you're of the right age, Mark, where you'll appreciate this. I was on a call before issue #1 came out, a retailer roundtable with Tom King, and he was talking about Wonder Woman and what he's doing with the book, and he apologized to the DC brass. He's like, look, I'm sorry, guys. All the examples I'm about to use are Marvel, so just get over it. He's like, Wonder Woman #1 starts off with an event that kind of is similar in nature to the event that kicked off the Civil War series at Marvel. Something bad happens, and then there are consequences.
Right.
So it's kind of like the kickoff to Civil War. And he goes, and then what that leads to is old school Incredible Hulk. It's this one guy
Oh.
on the run fighting the entire U.S. Army and a crazed person who is like on his tail. And so he's isolated. He's fighting this fight alone. But that's the situation that we're putting Diana into. So
I
she's
like
an
that.
outlaw.
Right.
Everybody hates her. And part of his rationale for this, which was really cool, was he said, you ask anybody to describe Wonder Woman, and what they're going to tell you, aside from she's a girl, is the adjectives they're going to use will be indistinguishable from any adjective you would use to describe Superman. And he's right.
Yep.
He goes, I think that's BS, and I'm going to cut through that, and you're going to be able to define who Wonder Woman is.
I always heard that the hardest person to write a story for would be Superman.
I would think.
Yeah, because he's too powerful.
Right. What
No matter
poses a
what.
threat to him?
So you always have to come up with. You're busy. You're taking your time on the story to depower him. Right. There's got to be kryptonite or magic or something, because if you have a story where he's at full power, then oh my gosh, the guy he's got to fight has to be so much more powerful. So
Yep.
it's that's why I heard that writing a Batman story or like Daredevil, things like that, is easier because the person is at a normal power level. Just use it because people identify with that more, right?
One
bullet
bullet
hits
can take him
Daredevil
down.
or Batman. It's the same thing when a bullet can't hit Superman because it bounces off. So I think that's a great direction for Wonder Woman. And hopefully I want to start picking that up.
I know a great store where you can do that.
Where do you know one in Madison? I'm looking for a comic home in Madison County.
I tell you what,
I
Madison,
do.
not Madison.
I'm going to drive through Madison tomorrow. I'll keep my eye out for you.
Yeah, look over there. I thought there used to be a comic book store in there somewhere. So,
But another
If
good.
you ask the right people, they'll tell you that it closed a long time ago.
Yeah, really. Another good one. What Josh Williamson is doing with Superman.
yeah, love Josh's work.
The issues 6 and 7 was called Superman Chained, and he did something that I don't think anybody's ever done with Superman before. Superman is basically trapped in chains, and it was a prison that Lex Luthor had designed for someone else years ago. And Superman let the person out. Well, now Superman was trapped in the chains, and it was considered the ultimate prison because it uses your greatest strength against you, and nobody can escape it. Well, when Superman gets trapped in it, one of the, I can't think of her name, from Supercorps was like, it's quit struggling. It uses your greatest power against you. And Superman says, well, that's the trick. I've got more than one power. And then you don't see anything else. And later on in the book, all of a sudden Superman's there and they're like, how did you get out? And he does not answer. I just thought that was brilliant. Like, what did he do?
Right.
His greatest strength is strength. Yeah. But what did he do to get out of it? So it just lets your imagination run wild with it. And I think that if you're going to do Superman, you kind of need to do that. Don't explain everything. Kind of like in Superman 2 with Christopher Reeves. Okay. All of a sudden there's like multiples of him. He had different powers
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so great the way they did it. And Williamson is kind of doing that without doing that.
That's great to hear. I'm hearing World's Finest is really good.
It's so good. Yes.
My cover just got announced the other day, and people started writing me saying that's one of the best books to be on right now. And I'm like, really? I haven't read World's Finest.
Mark Waid is killing it.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to be on a cover of a book Mark Waid wrote. That's crazy. So that comes out. It's a 1 in 50 though, ain't it? I think.
Your cover is.
Yes, it's gonna be tough.
That hurts.
Yeah, I think it's a 1 in 50, and it'll be out the end of January.
Oh man, look at that!
And yeah, I designed that. Originally, it was for Action Comics, and they liked it so much they said, "Hey, we're moving this over to World's Finest." Because they asked for that type of Batman. They wanted the Batman with the black on the. They gave me a reference.
Yeah,
image,
yeah.
you know? And I was like, okay, I can make that work. So, but honestly, I look at that now and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna blow your minds in a few months after that comes out because that was done early on. That was in August. I just did a cover 2 weeks ago that'll be out in May. That I think is the best cover best piece of art I've ever done in my life.
Can you tell us what book it's on?
It'll be on Action Comics. And man, I wish I could tell you who it is. It's not Superman on the cover either. Oh, I ain't getting in trouble. But it's sweet. There's a cover come out before that one, and it'll be in April. So these will be solicited when? January, February?
April will be solicited in February.
Okay. So, well, but see, it's November. Why are they showing the January book? Oh, no, that is right. November, it's 2 months ahead, right?
Yep.
Okay, so in February, you'll find out what's happening in that book. It'll be 1065, and the cover I just finished was 1066. So the last two covers I've done were 65 and 66.
Please tell me that you've got a Battle of Hastings 1066 cover, because you don't get 1066 as a number very often. But you got William the Conqueror coming over and taking and just destroying everybody in charge in England in 1066.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think they did anything on the 1066 to honor that.
How many chances do you get in this life?
I know it. But I'm excited. That'll happen here. April and May is going to be great months because those two books look great. But again,
Free Comic Book Day is in May.
The what now? A free comic book?
Free Comic Book Day is in May.
Yep. So those two will be out then. I think the rest of them start coming out around August or so. So there'll be a couple of my books and then a little gap and then some more. So
I mean, how does it feel to be doing covers for DC, man? That's incredible.
It's amazing. The only problem is I wish it was a cover A. That's the only thing, or cover B. You know, just where like Haven would have it, right? That's my only, because I do have a lot of people that really want it, but they're going to have to, like right now, to go get that cover. It might be a 1 in 25, I can't remember, but on like, if you go on right now, you can pre-order that cover, but they're wanting $50 for it.
Oh yeah, right? Absolutely, and minimum.
I hate that, but then again, it does add value to it before I even put pen to paper. So that's good. So I like it. I'm hoping eventually I'll do some cover A and B and stuff like that. But I'm enjoying it. I'm going to try to get some interior work over at DC soon. I would love to do some of that. But it was a dream come true. That book, I think that was the second or third cover I did, and I was still nervous. I could tell it because I was like, you know, how do I make Superman look? And I was worried. Is he looking correct and all that? And then by the end, you know, I've just gotten used to it now. I'm like, they like it. I'm going to do it my way. And but it's very nerve wracking at the beginning when you're doing Superman.
I could imagine so. I mean, he's iconic.
Yeah,
and there's so many different versions. I mean, you really should have given him that '90s mullet.
Yeah. Well, when I first put in my first cover, it was they came back, and that was the only revisions I've done. I think was when it came back, they said it looks a little too old. He looks like he's in his 40s and not in his 30s. And I fixed it up a little bit, smoothed out some wrinkles, and gave him a facelift, and then it was fine. But that was the tough because there's so many great Superman looks to choose from. Like, is it going to be more like an Alex Ross because you know that's a painted style? Is it going to be more like a Gary Frank? You know, who he uses Christopher Reeve's voice look sometimes, and so I had to try to make it what I could. But that was tough. Superman's tough because it's also his face. Other characters you're drawing, like of course, Spawn is no face, or creatures or monsters. Those are easy. So in Batman, I didn't know how I was going to do that, but Batman's a little easier because he only shows this much of his face. But they turned out okay. A lot of cool DC covers that I haven't mentioned what they're going to be, but they're gave me a chance to draw different characters other than Superman. I'll say that, and it was nice. But I'm hoping to do much more. Those DC guys are great to work with, and the Spawn guys are great to work with. I'm hoping to do that project still that we're talking about, where I do the interiors over at Spawn. So
yeah.
Looking at that too.
Well, I got to tell you, since you've come on the show now, I don't know if you're aware, but there is a requirement for any artists who come on the show.
Okay.
You want to tell them what that is, Alan?
Well, if you're going to interiors,
Yeah.
Hey, we could do covers too, bro.
we can do covers
I mean,
also.
Look at these mugs.
But and we do come with references. You've got to sneak Josh and I into a comic book somewhere. Now, I can tell you that we will be in Rogue's Kingdom issue 3. Josh will be in Dead Romans, the Image Comics, in issue
Number
7, and I'll be in issue 8. So I'm slowly but surely, I'm going to get my way to Kyle Higgins. I will be Radiant Gray before this is over with. Just a guy standing on the street corner in sweatpants, slides, and a t-shirt, and it's all great.
I will. It would if the Spawn thing starts. I'm sure there's gonna be lots of crowds and people in the background and stuff. I'll get y'all's faces in it.
That works for me. That's great.
That'll help sell that book double.
You darn right.
Oh, I've already proclaimed that Rogue's Kingdom issue 3 will be the most valuable comic book in all of history.
Yes, it could be.
Something that I wanted to ask you
Speaking
about.
of Rogue's Kingdom, real quick before we jump off of that,
Yeah,
it fully funded. So issue number 1 is happening. Their goal was like $12,000, and they made over 20.
Wow. Is that who's doing that? Who did that?
It's written by James Robinson.
Okay.
With art by Jeff Johnson.
Okay. I'll look into it. I love looking at other people's Kickstarters and stuff and seeing what they offered and all that stuff. So
I don't know if you saw the one that's Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones are doing Dracula.
Dracula, yeah.
They made over $200,000 on that thing.
wow.
Yeah, that's what I want on mine.
Because it's Matt Wagner and Kelly
crossed.
Jones doing Dracula.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up Dracula, and he said that's what I made on mine. So that is the perfect segue to a post that you made on Instagram that dropped.
Now your words are coming back to haunt you.
No, it stopped me dead in my tracks. And if you're talking about that you've got a issue of Action Comics coming up that's the best cover that you've ever done,
Yep.
I'll be the judge of that, because I'll be putting it up against this one right here. Because this one, there was some cuss words that come out of my mouth when I saw that. That is beautiful.
That's pretty good. I did that one. Let's see. I did that right after I did this last cover for DC. So it's weird. I was telling my wife the other day, I'm kind of getting in this zone where the more you do something, right, and I'm doing so much every day that I said right now everything I do is better than it was a month ago. So I really like that one too. I thought it was one of my better ones. I still say that DC one will blow your mind though. But I do like that. I think that will be a big seller on the Kickstarter, that cover.
Yeah, I know of one copy that's going to be sold. And then I'm guessing you got the interiors. You've posted those already, or at least some.
Yeah, some of them. I'm going to do more.
This just looks amazing. It really does.
Incredible.
Yeah, I've got I got more interiors I want to show. I have to be select because I don't want to give too much away, like if someone dies or if someone appears or something like that. But I've got over 170 something pieces of art for it, pages. So I'll post. I don't know how much I'll post on the actual Kickstarter, but I'll post a lot.
I love your old school Marvel frame variant, or it wasn't even the variants back in the day, but
the
the one at
Marvel
the top left
25th
over there,
anniversary.
Alan.
This one right here.
Yeah. The old school 25th anniversary frame or whatever that.
I had a bunch of those issues, so that's
heck yeah, because they were awesome.
Now, Josh, if you like that, if you want to talk about some Marvel, look at that.
Oh yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, somebody was saying you can't do this without having that, Mark. And I was like, okay, I'll do that too. I was doing about a cover a night for this last month.
A whole cover every night? That seems like a lot.
It is. It's because especially these homages, because besides doing the cover, I have to do all that dressing on it, right? Like I have to figure out how to do the lettering and all that. So I've been working myself.
That Killing Joke right there, man.
Yeah, I love the Killing Joke one.
Oh man.
Sid, I thought this one right here was a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
Yeah, I think the homage covers really helped the project. I think in the end that will set it apart a little bit more than normal if I'd have just done 8 covers and that was it. And I'm going to have these like a la carte is what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the rewards, I believe I'm going to have like every #1 cover. So you can just pick that. Then once you do that, you can then pick as your add-ons what else you want. Do you want #2, cover A, #5, cover B, all that. So that way you can get exactly what you want.
That whole 340 homage right there, incredible.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a clever way to do it.
Yeah, I wanted to do that because I love that original cover, and I was like, how could I do that? And I've lucked into figuring them out pretty quick, and then I was like, okay, I could do it that way, and did it. I'm going to offer on Black Friday. I haven't announced on Instagram yet, but that Spider-Man #1 with the Wolfman, McFarlane's #1,
Spider-Man 300, yeah.
No, the one with it's the other one with the.
Oh, that's not Wolfman there.
No,
down. Right here.
Not down. That's 313 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Homage. Go down further. Down further. That one right there. That one.
Gotcha. Okay, I said now. Yeah.
I'm going to offer that one in black and white with the werewolf will still be color, and it'll be a Black Friday edition cover, only available on Black Friday.
Oh,
so cool. I'll have that to where day one people, if they back the project, they can get that too. Because I thought that would be a little nod to, back then they had that the silver edition ones and stuff where they were black and white.
The hard one was the silver and the platinum were indistinguishable.
Yes, it was.
You remember, everybody's like, I got the super fancy one. I'm like, no, you don't.
But I got other covers I hadn't posted yet. I got kind of tired of posting all the covers. Yeah, there's some more interiors.
So, quick question, because this is really important. Is there going to be a retailer level where we can get a few copies to put on the shelf and still be able to sell them and make a profit?
Yes, because I've had a few retailers reach out about that, and I wanted to run that by you guys because y'all. And I'm talking to another comic book store this weekend when I do a signing in Georgia. Basically, what I want to do is have a retailer edition that I'm thinking about a cover price of about $5.99. Right, that's about as high as you want a comic book to be.
That's surprisingly.
Or is that low?
That's surprisingly reasonable for a Kickstarter comic and would be extremely welcome.
Well, I'm thinking about what if I did $5.99, right? That means I'm only going to probably make 50 cents, but it would be worth it, right, to have those books to a retailer. And then even offer, if you buy a certain amount, I throw in some of those homage covers, right, at certain levels. Like,
yeah,
you buy 25 copies at this price, and I'm throwing in this rare cover, something like that. The
I would
retail
say
editions.
you might want to consider upping that price some because maybe $7.99
You think you
would
could
still
sell
be
it more for 7?
reasonable.
That's what I wanted to kind of ask you about. Do you think you could? I don't want to get it to where retailers go, man, I can't sell no book for $7.99.
I think that's reasonable for you to actually make a profit on it,
Yeah,
or
I would
something
make
reasonable for a
because
profit.
the books are going to be about $250, something like that.
Yeah,
250.
yeah. But you got all the other stuff that goes into it too, right? Because you got to factor in your labor, you got to factor
Yeah.
in the shipping and the printing and all the other stuff,
Yeah.
and overhead things that go with it. I'd say like a $7.99 price is about the top of what you would want to ask for a single issue of a book. But I think that's reasonable, and I think people would be willing to pay it in a situation like this. When you start getting into $25 for a comic book, that's a little much.
Right.
But $5 is about the normal price for it's $4.99 is about the going rate for all Marvel and DC books now.
Yeah.
$7.99 I think would be reasonable.
Well,
I think that would be reasonable for you.
30 pages, 32 pages, maybe depending.
In that case, absolutely, because they're charging $5 for a 22-page book.
I think it'll be like the first. I got to get that kind of down where like the first issue is probably going to be about 30 pages of actual story. And then I want to have a letters column, things like that. So it might be up to 34, 38 pages. I have to do the math on it. But I could also do cheaper paper, where the thickness is a little bit different for the retailer version. Also, basically, on the Kickstarter thing, I look at it this way. I don't want anyone upset. I don't want, say Alan goes on the Kickstarter and says, man, I want that Bride of Frankenstein book. It pays $20. But then he's like, well, why did I do that? But Haven's going to have that same issue, just a different cover. So I want to make them a little different, right? To where maybe the paper quality is a little different. Maybe that you don't get as many pages. It's the same story, but you don't get maybe some pinups, something like that.
That's actually for Jeff Johnson's Kickstarter on Rogue's Kingdom. They have different versions of the book you can get. I don't know that I would change the paper because that doesn't actually make that much difference in the long run.
It didn't look like it was going to make that. Yeah.
But he's got one version of the book you can get that's got some extra pages of like concept art or roughs or what have you in the back, and the regular version doesn't have that. And that would be a cool way to distinguish.
Well, also I thought I don't want say like Alan going on there and going, well, I'll just buy these. So the cheaper version. So I was going to have it where you have to buy, for retailers, you got to buy at least like 10, 15, 20, something like that, right?
Yeah, I will say you might get some resistance there you might open more doors with if 10 would be probably the high limit. 5 copies even could be a limit for some folks, because a lot of small retailers right now, it's a rough market.
Right.
And ordering a bunch of copies of a book that you don't know how well it's going to sell, it's not like it's being solicited. You can't really put it on your sub list and things like that. It's a risk, and a lot of retailers are not going to be willing to pull that trigger right now.
That's what I was thinking.
10 copies is about the minimum I would go, or the max I would go for the low tier for retailers. Now, if you did a 10, 15, 20, 25, 50, 100, maybe a breakdown like that, I think you would get some good response there. But that's some interesting stuff.
And you also have to think the Universal monsters are some of the most beloved monsters in movies, period. So when somebody sees something unique like that, I think they're going to sell well. I mean, I really do.
Well, they're eye-catching for sure.
Yeah.
And those interiors are sick.
And also, because I'm trying to get everything ready to make my video, for Kickstarter. And I was breaking everything down. And really the story it's basically superhero, sci-fi, horror, and mystery all in one, right? Because those are all the things I liked. It's set in the 80s. The majority of the book is set in the early 1980s. And then it's I got science fiction in there, but it's science fiction from the 80s, like 6 million man kind of science fiction, if you understand what I'm
cool.
saying. And then I've got, of course, horror.
I can hear that now. You just said it. I can hear the sound effects.
Yep.
And I've got mysteries going on, like you're trying to figure out who's doing what. I've got influences like, I'm a big G.I. Joe Cobra fan. I have my own version of Cobra basically in the book.
Sweet. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to say I don't have a copy of it here, but they did a B cover for this. That is a Hiss tank with the Cobra characters leaping off like this.
Oh,
and it's a mirror
I need
image.
that.
I need it too, but it's sold out.
Oh,
speaking of sold out, this book is sold out. Sold out. Not available. I just had right before the show, I was emailing Skybound and saying, I need more copies of this. Another printing, please. And also, I am seeing reports from retailers all over the country, and this just warms the cockles of my cold, dead heart. G.I. Joe 301 is selling like hotcakes everywhere. I saw a store that just said they said they ordered 70 copies, thinking that was probably way too many, and they sold every last one of them in the first 3 days of the week.
Good.
Wow.
And I'm like, heck yes, that makes me happy. That's
amazing.
Yeah, it is out there. The B cover is out there. It exists. Why is that doing that? There we go. Yeah, it's a really cool looking cover. I'll see if I can find it real quick. And yes, the warm the cockles of my cold dead heart. Old expression, but not perverted at all.
On the Kickstarter, I'm hoping to do, because I'm doing something I don't think anyone's ever done. I'm going to have that on the press release. No one's ever offered 8 issues at once, and also have
not
comic already done. Usually,
yeah, they do trades and stuff, but no, they don't do the whole run of a book.
And they usually say, "Hey, I'm going to give you the first 3 issues, and I'll have it done next year." Right? Like, give me a year to do it. So I do think, oh man, you need more though. You need like 2 or 3 more people on that.
Oh, did you find it already, Alan? That's what I was going and looking for.
Yeah, I just went to League of Comic Geeks and found it.
Yeah, there's more folks you could certainly have on it, but that's like the old school. Actually, they were around for G.I. Joe #1. I mean, look at the outfit they've got Baroness in.
Major Blood.
Yeah.
Well, you could have added some Cobra Troopers, I guess, but I don't know. I guess that's pretty good.
I mean, if I wanted to add more characters to that, I would think about, some wackadoo character like Mindbender, or some doofus like Raptor. Although at this point, Mindbender wasn't there. You'd have to go with Dr. Venom
later on,
right? You'd have to go with Dr. Venom. But no, that's such a great cover, and it makes me so happy. I wish I had it. I don't have it, and now I'm mad.
How did you not get one?
Zartan would be great, Bill Fisher. Yes, good call.
Yep.
How did you not get one?
Just one of those things. The image was not available when we had to place our orders.
Oh.
And I don't typically order variant covers unless I get... I'm not going to order if I can't see it, because it's the only difference between that and the other book is the cover.
Yeah.
And if you can't give me a cover image to look at by the time I have to place an order, then you have failed.
I don't know why they do that, where it's like, maybe it's not available yet or something, but that's crazy to make you order blind like that. And of course, that one's going to blow up and be worth like $100 because no one ordered it.
Well,
that's what they do all the time. You would be amazed at the number of times they go into Diamond, for example, or whatever, their previews. It goes in there, and that's 2 months in advance, and they don't have a cover for it. Okay, they get to final order cutoff, which is 3 weeks in advance, and they still don't have a cover for it.
That's
You're not
crazy.
ready to submit that. That book doesn't deserve a cover. I'm sorry. You don't have it
Yeah.
3 weeks before it's supposed to show up at my door. I'm not ordering that.
Some people were saying that the Headless Horseman didn't have a cover. I don't know if it was who was just soliciting that because it was Dark Horse, but they said it was ordered really light because no one saw the cover.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
turned out to be, great. It sold out a lot of places, which is, good for me, I guess. But I don't know. I think that's crazy, though. You've got to show those covers. They should have it where it's not even solicited unless there's an image there.
you are preaching to the choir, man. That's what the retailers are all screaming and pitching fits about. Like, don't try to sell me something without any data,
Yeah.
without even a cover. I don't know who the writer is. I don't know who the artist is. I don't know who's inking it. I don't know who's lettering it. I have no idea what it even looks like. You don't have a product. You're selling me a promise. And I don't even know what the promise is.
Right.
I'm not playing that game, so I don't order it. Unless it's a name that I know and I have people asking for it.
How's Transformers doing? Are they doing as good as G.I. Joe?
Well, I'm trying to put it. Let's see. What's the best way to say this? We still have copies of #1, which I ordered very heavy because I wanted to have them around when people came in looking at #2 and #3.
Yeah, exactly. So that doesn't hurt at all.
But I don't have a ton of copies of #1, and I'm sold out of #2.
Oh.
I just had to reorder #2, and I ordered #2 pretty heavy too.
Wow.
Yeah, the way that Kirkham has done this, people have really jumped on this new Energon universe.
He said.
Who'd you say?
The Kirkham.
Kirkman,
whatever.
That's what he
Tyler
said.
Kirkham is an artist.
Oh,
that's a different guy.
I thought he said Kirkman.
Well, everybody has really jumped on this Energon universe. I mean, he's doing it the right way.
He absolutely is.
When they first started talking about it, you're like, okay, we've got this unknown book, Void Rivals. How is this thing going to introduce Transformers? And then how are they going to tie G.I. Joe and Transformers into the same universe, same Earth?
Right.
Well, they've done it, and it makes sense. I mean,
wait until you read Duke #1.
Oh, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Wait until you read that.
Oh, yeah, now
right there establishes the tie hard and fast.
Really?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, I can't wait to read that one.
It's shocking though if you think back. What IDW had G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Yep.
Right, just a few
and
years
My
ago.
Little Pony, which somehow Robert Kirkman wasn't interested in. That
he didn't want that. But I mean, and sales weren't bad on those books. But I mean,
not at
look
all.
at the sales there versus now, though. It's like everybody's talking about G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Yep.
And all they did was get it, and it's Kirkman's name being attached to it with Skybound like that, and people going, "This is probably going to be good." And they got some good people around it, so it's amazing.
Part of it is exactly that, but the other part is Kirkman knows and loves G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Yeah,
he loves them, and so people trust that he's going to be a good steward of those properties.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Bill.
Yeah.
You're so squishy.
But I think starting off with Void Rivals and starting off with an unknown brand new comic book. And I mean, you read that first issue of Void Rivals, and if it does not hook you in the first issue,
right,
there's something wrong. I mean, it's very well done, and the cameo made sense that was in the first issue. It wasn't just thrown in there just to say, okay, we need to tie these characters together somehow, some way. The cameos that have been in Void Rivals have been almost perfect. Timing, everything. The way they all fit into the story. And I think that that's really helped because, somebody that might have been a Transformers fan but was never a big G.I. Joe fan,
Mhm.
It's got them interested. How is G.I. Joe going to play into this now?
Right.
You know,
makes
and
you wanna
vice
get
versa.
both.
Yeah. So yeah, he's doing a really good job with it so far.
Yeah, it's almost like he just gave comic book stores a present because he's like, look, I'm gonna get people hyped up about this, maybe even come in that haven't come in years to buy this. And that's just amazing. I mean,
I'll tell you, we got a guy come in. He moved down here to Huntsville a while back, and he loves comics. We hadn't picked him up in forever.
right.
Um, when he heard Transformers was coming back out, he's like, "Wait a minute, and who's doing it? Robert Kirkman." Yeah. So now he's in, and he's got GI Joe, Transformers, Void Rivals, Duke, and Cobra Commander on a pull list.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's a great jumping on point. It's not like they're like, oh, I don't, want something that's been going on for so many issues or whatever. This is it's kind of a fresh start, at Skybound, even though he's continuing the GI Joe with the other stuff. That's
which I thought was
amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased that that's what he did. I can kiss the man. So pleased that's what he
I don't
did.
know if he'll come to the expo if you go kiss him. I don't know.
You never know.
All right, we get enough of that. We get enough of wine in him. I mean, and the expo's on the weekend. I mean, he's away from home.
That's true. Oh my goodness.
What happens in Huntsville,
What happens when Huntsville plays in Huntsville?
It gets bandied about all over the internet. That's what happens.
Honestly, as bad as it sounds or as strange as it sounds, I would love to meet him one time just to shake his hand and thank him for the childhood that I had. Because, I mean, it's literally, he's been a part of our lives since we were kids.
Man, I hope he maybe the schedule can work out and he can get here for the expo if Jeremy can work that out. I'll like I said, I'll talk to you about that after the show's over. I think that'd be great, especially right now with the hype of G.I. Joe and stuff. Who doesn't want him in your town, right? That would be great. So maybe we can make that happen. We'll see. Also, I don't know if I told you, I'm doing 6 more Power Ranger covers. I don't know if I've told you that or not.
You have not, but holy smokes, dude. That one Power Rangers cover you did was kind of the zombie Rangers.
Yeah, I did that one, and they saved it for New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
New York Comic Con happened, and I got contacted about a week later saying, hey, that was did so well. We want 6 more covers. So I've got to do, I'm doing Black Ranger right now. I got to get it done by next week. So I'll probably take some time tonight or do it this weekend. And then I'm doing all of them. I got the Red Ranger, the Pink Ranger. So each one has its own cover. So
are you doing anything to kind of tie them together, or are they just all individual covers?
All individual. They didn't say that they have to link at all.
I was just trying to remember. Cool. You remember that? I want to say it was Outsiders cover, maybe, that Travis Charest did back in the day, where you could put them any which way, and it didn't matter. And they all linked up. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
It was the coolest thing, man.
I might have to look into that, though, because that would be cool. I don't even have to tell them until they come out, and then people can figure it out.
But the cool thing was there were like bubbles on the pages. Like where something had exploded, and there was kind of some Kirby effect stuff. But there were these bubbles on the pages, and everywhere one split off of a page, like off of the cover, you could link up this way and this way and this way and this way, and you could do it with all of them. I don't know how much of a pain in the butt that had to be for him to do.
To link the bubbles like that. I mean, it'd be different if it's just a color background,
Yeah, it was the coolest thing, though. Here, I remember it 30 years later.
Wow.
Right? I'm like, wow, that was so cool. Because I didn't believe it. Everybody bought multiple copies just so they could do it and find out for themselves.
I might try to do something like that. I've done one of the covers already, but it wasn't one of those Rangers. They told me to do Death Ranger. I don't know if y'all know who that is in the comic books. And I did. I worked on it that night, I was being really good. I got it done that night. The next morning, I get up after getting some sleep, and they wrote me and said, "Oh, you know what? We've decided we want these instead." And I said, "Oh man, I've already done Death Ranger last night." And I sent it to them. I said, "I'm about 2 hours away from finishing it." And then they said, "Okay, we'll substitute the White Ranger for the Death Ranger." So it counts as one of my 6. So the other ones though would be interesting because they are the original Rangers, right? The red, black,
Right.
blue, and pink. So I could make those match. It's I hate making the backgrounds the same, but I could make it to where the background's a colorful background, but it just links up, like you said, different ways. I might try that.
I just hang on. I just found it and I'm pulling it up. It's not quite exactly what I remember, but it's pretty darn good. Like
what would be cool?
There's some
is this
smoke
thing.
that goes off like this and comes back around.
Okay, smoked it though.
It's really taking time to upload here, so as soon as it's done, I'll flash it up on the screen.
But what would be cool is if they would have you do a 7th cover, and the 7th cover you have it as your center one, and it be the old school Rita Repulsa.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Oh yeah, would it like the? Okay, so that's okay. I see where the smoke stuff is going into the other one. Oh, but you're right. You could move that one to the left of it, and it still match up.
Yep.
And you see the pink, the down here at the bottom, the circles, and up here at the top on the other one, the circles.
Oh my gosh, you're right, dude. That had to blow his mind figuring out how to do that. That's amazing.
I'm telling you, like I said, I still remember it 30 years later.
That is pretty cool. I might have to do something similar.
He put a lot of thought into that
because I couldn't figure that out. The math alone would make my brain hurt because you would have to have it. So basically, every cover has to have 4 exit things on it, right? But different ones.
Pretty much,
link up. So the top has to have a bottom that will at least one bottom that'll link up, maybe 2. So you can have options. So I'll probably make it to where you can at least do them different ways and they'll look the same or something. But
well, if you did it right and left, for example, then you could create a single panoramic image across the covers.
Yeah, that would
and have them link up, and then they could put them in whatever order they wanted.
Yeah, to where you could make the black one here or make the blue one there, and it doesn't matter. And it would still run. I would like to try to do something like that.
That would be pretty awesome. Like I said, I don't know why, but it just occurred to me when you're like, okay, I'm doing these 6 Rangers. Yeah. Like, that would be pretty awesome if you did something like that, especially if nobody knew except for the 6 people watching this right now.
I don't even think, the only people in Madison will know this, but I think that would be really interesting because, and not even tell the people
exactly
that I'm doing it for, because it's interesting. When you get these, you would want more than one then, right?
Well,
so
yes.
You'd be like, I want another one. And
you want to create the whole image and then put them all on the wall.
Yeah. Put them all together. That's, man, I'm glad you mentioned that because before I get started on the black one, I need to know what the backgrounds are going to be. So I'll definitely try that. I think that'd be really, really cool. I've never
Look at me shaping art.
I've never done a connecting cover except that X-Men #1 homage.
Yeah.
And that one, that was rough trying to do that because
we had characters breaking from one cover to the next.
Yeah. That was a little tough to do that one, but because it was also homage and you have to keep the poses kind of similar and all that stuff. So, but I'll definitely try that on the Power Rangers. I think that would look. Also, it solves the problem of me coming up with. I was thinking that earlier today, coming up with 5 different backgrounds because it's 5 Rangers since I've already done the Death one. So I was like, what backgrounds can I do? But that makes sense. I can do similar backgrounds that'll match. That's great.
I'm here to help, Mark.
Thank you, Josh. I'll send you a check over. It's in the mail.
You just need to come by the shop and pick up one of these.
I do, man. That is pretty cool. I didn't even know they made something like that. for the
Alan, you
console
didn't even
cover.
flip through this yet.
No, actually, when I saw it, it was wrapped in plastic. The one
yeah,
I saw.
that was because I hadn't looked at it yet. But look on look at that, the swamp thing.
Look at
Just
those
look at the
colors.
colors.
That is beautiful.
And this is chock full of goodness. And the whole back, I don't know, third of it is like storyboards of varying completeness, I would say. Some of them are just real rough sketches, and some of them are pretty smooth and finished. Really, really pretty stuff. But there's stuff in here that wasn't actually used in the show, at least not that I remember, that was really cool. And
That's shocking that they did that, though. Yeah, some of the pictures you showed me, I don't remember that rib cage like that, or at least not that shot of it.
oh no, that giant creature
Yeah.
they were inside of, I didn't remember that
I
either.
don't remember that at all.
No. I'll try to find that again so I can show you, Alan. I just really want this giant I don't know if it's a suit or whatever it is that they made for Swamp Thing or Man Thing, because he looks amazing. Yeah, it's a suit that comes in multiple pieces. I'm the right size to wear that. That's a creature I could be.
Man Thing.
Yeah, you know it. You know, one of my favorite covers of any comic book ever. Do I still have it in the images here? I probably got rid of it. I had it up here forever because I really loved it. Oh, it's gone. There was a cover where Man Thing is like standing like knee deep water or whatever. He's going like, ah, like this, and Spider-Man is like stuck in the middle of him, like being absorbed into him and trying to fight his way out.
Oh,
Incredible cover. Incredible cover.
someone sent me a Man Thing to do like as an homage, but I haven't done it.
Dude, you would be a killer Man
homage
Thing. You would do a killer Man Thing.
Yeah, I would love to do Man Thing. Hopefully one day. He says, "I will see."
I'll have to find that later because I'm too interested now. Oh, you got one, dude?
He got one.
I don't know how, but I can't. I've been looking for them and I can't get them.
Well, I did look. As much as I hate to do it, I did look. eBay does have them for $3.99.
Hey, that's cover price, dude.
Yep.
And considering they're sold out, I would probably pick it up.
Yeah.
And if I were a nice guy, I'd pick up two, Alan.
I just hate buying comic books off eBay because you never do know how they're going to package them.
True.
That's why you only buy from respected people.
Like Haven Comics. Hey, on the
here it is. Here it is. I got it. I'm gonna.
Do y'all use those mailers? Have y'all ever shipped comics before?
Yeah, the Gemini mailers.
Yeah, we use them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at those the other day because that's how I will have to ship my Kickstarter comics. And I was saying you can get like 150 for some odd dollars or something. But I'm hoping I would have to contact them and say I need 1,000. Maybe they'll give me a better deal.
I've actually got a pretty good stash of them up at the shop, way more than I need.
Okay. Well, I might.
So I could at least get you set up to start.
I think we're going to have a goal of 40,000. I think on the Kickstarter to start with because it's 80 issues. I'm trying to basically recoup my pay for all the work I did for the year of it. Right, the 80 issues.
Oh, that's fair.
So,
all right, check this. This is that image.
Oh man, I remember that now.
That's just one of the coolest images in the world.
Yeah, I would love to homage that, but I don't know how I would. I don't know any kind of creature or anything I got that's like Man Thing. could be absorbing somebody. That's so awesome, though.
I mean, look at him just
you
fighting
could-
his way out.
I would say the creature from the Black Lagoon, but who could he be kind of absorbing / fighting?
I don't know.
Just brilliant, that cover.
It's just it's an awesome cover. I need someone like a Clayface or something. That would be great to do somewhere like Batman and Clayface.
Well, you could do like a golem.
Yeah, that's true. I have a Golem character. I could actually put that in there and do that. Somebody's been. I've had like 10 requests to do the Punisher cover, Spider-Man Punisher, first appearance.
Oh, right,
Punisher.
the 129. Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that. The other day I was like, I think I got close to like 25 to 30 covers. I said
that's an awful lot of covers for 8
but
months.
it is 8 issues, so I understand that. But I'm like, I don't want to have but maybe 3 to 4 maximum covers per issue. 3 would be nice, A, B, and C. Because it depends like this. Am I making more homage covers because people go, and I want that? Or will they be like, I want that instead of this? Well, then I'm
Well,
not
that's exactly what you run into.
right. So if I don't make something that's, where they want them all, then I'm basically just giving them more options, which is going to make my print costs go up because I got to get more different copies printed.
Because it's a different print for every cover. That's right.
Every cover is going to be a different, So really, a lot of these, and I'm thinking about putting a max on that, like only 500 of these copies will be printed because realistically, hopefully I'll have a good advertising campaign. I'm talking to Screen Crush right now to get on there. If y'all know what, on YouTube, and some other places. But realistically, I can only hope for about 1,000 backers, right? If I'm blessed with 1,000 backers. My cards before had about a couple of hundred. I got about 300 people that have backed my stuff in the past, right? So if I have about 1,000 backers, then I could have some of these books be 500 limited copies, which does make their value go up. Then people are like, well, there's only 500 made. I might get
something you might want to consider.
Yeah,
is something that Jeff Johnson did on Rogue's Kingdom, which was he's selling some of his art. And it's just in this case, I mean, I'm about to show you because I just dropped a good chunk of change to buy this because it's freaking awesome. Rogue's Kingdom is a fantasy setting. And the first time I saw this, I was like in love with this town, with this book. And the fact that he put this out as something that I could buy the original rough pencils of, heck yes.
Oh my gosh. Is that a cover?
No, it's just a setting. It's a background setting in the book. It's not a cover.
Why? So it's
just the city. It's the establishing shot of the city.
Well, see, I've already discussed that. Like with my wife, I was like, a lot of these Kickstarters are selling like the original art from the book. And I was saying, but the bad thing is now I have concept sketches, but I said, I don't know if they're fleshed out enough that people would be like, pay me a lot of money for those. But being digital, should I be like, I thought about what if I did a 1-of-1 16 by 20 canvas or something like that for that cover, like Alan, like the Bride of Frankenstein cover, right?
Yeah.
What if I had that cover? You get the original piece, only 1-of-1 will ever be made, and you get it. Is that still the same as original art? If you get what I'm saying.
I do. And I think different strokes for different folks. I think different people would feel differently about it. But I like personally just being able to.
Oh, that's good, Mike. I like that. He's saying that.
I do too, actually.
I do have
Marshmallow
I
Man.
have the glob as one of my characters. That would work perfect. Yeah.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I'd fight my way out of that.
I would eat my way out of that.
Heck yeah. But on the art front, there's definitely people who like to buy art and they like
Yeah.
to get the one of a kinds, and that's a higher dollar way of
Yeah.
capitalizing on work you've already done
Yep.
as an add-on to the comic.
Yeah.
So if somebody sees something they just got to have, here you go. If
And it's
it's
a one of
original
one.
concept
Yeah.
sketches or whatever, there's some because those are unique and one of a kind. There's not 50 copies or 100 copies or 1,000 copies of that out there. It's just the one.
Right.
So there's people who like that, and he sold quite a bit of original art. And I say original art; it's not like finished stuff. I mean, this is clearly not finished. This is just the
Right.
roughs. But it's all the more precious to me for that because I love it.
Yeah, I like seeing the strokes where some of it's not erased and all that. That's original to me. That's that's what I love. If I do a sketch for somebody, I hardly erase anything on it because I go, I want this to look like I just did it right then, so you can have it. So, but I thought about that. I looked at other Kickstarters. I saw that some people were charging for pages $500 to $1,000 for a page or a cover.
Oh, easily it costs that much.
And I was like, that's something I hadn't thought about doing until yesterday. And I'm glad we talked about it because I thought about that. I was like, well, because I thought about doing sketch covers for the book, remarks, and I'm going to also offer CGC versions of it. Maybe some virgin covers too. Who knows? But
Gotta watch out for those CGC virgins. They've never had a book graded. They don't know what it costs.
So I'm going to, but I was thinking that would be a great way because there's going to be some backers that go, look, I want the books, but I want a little bit extra experience. What else can I get? Oh, I love this cover. It's a one of one. It's just like, what size do I do? I could do a 24 by 36 print. I could do a 16 by 20. Normal comic art's 11 by 17. But I was thinking, well, you know what? Somebody buys this, they're probably going to put it up on their wall.
Man, long time no see. How you doing, Andrew?
Hey, Andrew.
Where you been? Hadn't seen you forever, man.
But I've also seen a lot of like on those Kickstarters, say it's if you pledge, $10, you get the digital copy plus you get this book.
Yeah.
And then you might go on a little bit and it'll be like if you pledge $25, you get the digital copy, this book signed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can do stuff like that easily.
Yeah, I thought about doing the signing ones. I might even I saw one guy do a thing where it's an add-on, like $20, and everything that you got, no matter how many books you got, will be signed, right?
Oh,
wow. I thought, well, 20 is kind of high. I could do like a $10 and I'll sign, like, if you bought 30 books, I'll sign all 30,
Where have you been, Nick Ellis? Where have you been? Where have you been, young man? Are you still trying to recover from our 24 hours at a comic shop? Dude, Mark.
Hey, I watched some of that, man. I'm a fan.
You were the one?
Was live streaming. Then y'all turned it off. I was thinking, this is going to be all night. And y'all turned it off sometimes.
Nobody wanted to see that all night long, I tell you.
And hey, if you ever hear of anyone saying, I was there and I can verify, Josh can change the air temperature. It is real. It did happen. And we're just going to leave it at that.
Oh, man. It was
Lord.
like watching an experiment. I was fascinated.
I tell you, it was lunacy is what it was. It was fun. And people have asked me, like, would you do it again? I'm like, no.
Honestly, I kind of thought about it. I think it would be cool to do, like, say, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Agreed.
Because the fun thing was, and look, we'll get to that here in just a second, Nick Ellis. And it was 18 hours, thank you. The cool thing was being up there all night and just playing games. I mean, just having fun.
We had customers there until midnight.
Yeah, I mean,
people like buying stuff.
Man.
And then Mike Weslowski showed up at 5 a.m. God bless him.
Yeah,
and then he came back a few hours later and he brought breakfast.
Oh.
That is a gentleman right there. That is a gentleman and a scholar. And hats off to Mike Weslowski. He is the man.
You're probably better off doing it till, like Alan was saying, like till 3 o'clock, and then just go, play games stuff till 3, and then go home, get you some sleep. All night, I don't know how y'all did it. Y'all lost me after about 4 o'clock. I was done checking in.
Well, it was honestly at about noon, a little bit before noon Saturday. I don't know what happened, but I started getting a headache.
Ooh.
And the second I started getting and I think it's because of caffeine, because I'm really weird. I do not drink any caffeine after 9 a.m.
Oh.
I have my morning coffee and that's it. No caffeine after 9 a.m. That's just the way my life has worked out. I'm fine with that. I actually started sleeping better at night. Well, I had been drinking caffeine and coffee and basically the only thing that was missing was me just plugging a freaking IV in at one point. And I started getting a headache. And as soon as I started getting that headache, I thought, I'm not going to make it. And honestly, I got home. What made it so bad was I got home about 12:30 because I only live about 20 minutes from the shop. I walked in, I changed clothes, I flopped down, and I started watching TV. And I watched TV until almost 3:30.
Really? So you still couldn't get to sleep?
Yeah, I mean, it was just all the caffeine and everything, and that's when it hit me. I was like, it had to be the caffeine.
Yeah, y'all putting their bodies through a lot of stuff for that experiment.
Yeah,
but it was fun watching it, so it was worth it.
That surprises me, but we had a good time with it. It was certainly
survived on syrup.
Hey, I don't know what y'all's problem is. You tell me you've never taken a hit straight out of a Mrs. Butterworth bottle.
No, I never have.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing.
I might have to try that now.
That's buttery, mapley sweetness. It's goodness right there.
If I had a pancake already in my mouth, I could do that. I feel like that would be too sweet. What difference does that make? That sounds like Elf, right? What was it? The syrup on spaghetti?
Yeah.
I could do that.
Oh, me.
Yeah, I could do that. And these guys are acting like it's something, man. I made myself a shot of syrup, and I'm just like, and they're like, "Oh my God, what have you done?"
There you go. You need to make a Haven challenge in December. Somebody make you some pasta and put Pop-Tarts in it, syrup, the whole Elf meal.
And then mash it up with their hands.
Yes, and then eat it.
I could do that.
And everybody will pledge like $1 or $10 for you to do it, and then you can give the money to charity. Who knows?
I could do that. That's what I could do, and I wouldn't be in the slightest grossed out about it. That wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. I could absolutely do that one.
Man, I just couldn't take something that sweet. There's like certain cakes that I'm going, oh, that's just too sweet. So, man, I don't know how you do the shot of syrup.
Yeah, the Elf spaghetti challenge. I could do that. Alan, we can't do that one chip thing, but we could do that.
Yep. I like the Elf spaghetti challenge.
Ooh, that might be rough though. I mean, I would definitely take one bite. Just to keep
adding up for 24
There has to be a minimum amount that
sugar
you consume for the challenge.
Yeah. Now look, I've done the one chip challenge twice. Did not survive it, but I've done it twice. I did make it 18 hours into 24 hours. Which, by the way, I did make very possibly some of the best pancakes I've ever made in my life during that 18 hours.
I will absolutely go with you on that. Those pancakes were stellar.
Wow.
They were stellar. And they were this thick and fluffy.
Man.
And they were delicious. And he did it on a griddle outside in front of the front door of the store at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God.
And bacon was good, too.
Wow. Yeah, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I had a Blackstone going with pancakes and bacon everywhere.
Oh my goodness!
I will say the few pancakes that we had left over, other folks later in the day, and I'm talking like 5 o'clock that evening, they're like, "Wonder if that's still good," and they're sitting there eating them, man.
Wow. Man, so it was like camping at Haven Comics.
That's exactly what it was.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
It's exactly what it was. We played a really bizarre game of D&D. We should try that again with a different game.
I think when I tuned in, y'all had just got done. Y'all were talking about that. Y'all were talking
I'm here
about
to tell you, they would not listen to me. And I'm not going to tell y'all what my plan was because it was pretty messed up. But if you're ever playing D&D and you walk into a village and there is a pale-looking 10-year-old standing there, the first question should be, how many years have you been 10 years old?
Yeah, he's not wrong.
That's true.
And depending on that answer is depending on your next move.
Yeah.
After we played that, we played a game called Plunder, which is kind of like Settlers of Catan, but with pirates. And the first one took us a while because we were learning how to play it. But it was a lot of fun. So then we turned right around and played it again. And then a few hours later, we played it again. That's a really cool game. I really enjoyed it. And I'm not just saying that because I won all 3 times.
So you won all 3 of that. Man, that would be my favorite game then.
Honestly, I would have loved to have live streamed us playing Plunder.
Except that Nick can't keep it PG.
But the amount of, well, I mean, there was some trash talking going back and forth between Dustin and I that wasn't too friendly either.
That's true.
Honestly, I think that was the best part. I mean, it's a great game. It's a fun game. It really is. But I think the best part was just the trash talking back and forth.
I just loved how Nick was trying to get everybody to do things, and all he did was make everybody want to go and kill him and get him out of the game. That was the funniest thing.
No, Nick and I had an accord several times, and I mean, the accord was honored.
Do we have an accord?
Oh, Lord. So as far as Monsters is concerned, your Kickstarter goes live.
Hang on, I would like to address this. You're acting like all pirates just plunge into battle like idiots, and I'm going to tell you, my pirate played the long game and beat your butt 3 times.
3 times.
Once, twice, 3 times.
You need a wrestling belt. The 3-time champion.
I do need one for Plunder. Why does it keep doing
that? But back to Monsters for a second.
Yeah.
We have covered everything about Monsters except for the story itself. What can you tell us about the story?
All right. The story basically, the majority of the story takes place in the 80s, but I do have flashbacks to 1890, and in those I have them black and white. Right, that's when the Victorian era, and then I also have flashbacks.
You go with black and white or that kind of sepia look?
I have it black and white right now. If it's better looking in sepia, I might change it later. I drew them in color though, so that might be something later on if people want to see them the original way. But when I did make them black and white at the end, I was like, that kind of does it. It makes it, because a lot of people like the black and white trading cards that I do. That's a version of them. So I thought, yeah, that kind of, it separates that period from the regular time period. And there's another thing going on where you also see this period of time that's, I don't know if I put a date on it yet, but it's around the like 1300s, like the King Arthur period, right?
Now we're talking.
And then, so because I'm a big fantasy guy, like you, Josh, so I wanted fantasy in it. Okay, and in that period of time, you have this wizard and a little boy, and they're monster slayers, right? Because they slay dragons and stuff like that. So they're off on this adventure to go and slay this monster. So you're following that, and that's like every book will have a couple of pages of that, right? So it's not like huge into the story while you're watching the main story. And then the main story in the 80s is about a monster slayer. And people keep asking what's his name. I don't want to give that away, but we'll call him Monster Slayer. That's what people refer to him as, Slayer. A lot of times, people who know him.
Good band.
And yeah, I thought, it's kind of like Mando, Mandalorian. The way they do that. So another thing is you will not see his mask off of him. I don't like when characters, the day that you see his mask off will be the day I kill that character, and then I don't even know if I want to do it, right? Because
let's look at Wolverine.
That
right?
has the mask on. He's any man under that. It could be, whoever. It could be whatever race. It doesn't matter because he's got that suit on. You don't know who he is.
Let's look at Wolverine for a second, right?
Kid,
when they broke in and they finally gave you the origin of Wolverine, and that mystery was gone, what happened? The mystery was gone. The mystique was gone. Wolverine was suddenly not very interesting.
When they made Boba Fett a clone and you saw who he was, it demystified it. When you saw Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, it's still, it's just like, oh, it's scarier and better in your mind than what you could ever show. So you'll see him get beat up and stuff and maybe scratched, but you'll never see his skin color. You'll never see who he is. It's a mystery on who he is. Maybe it's solved in these 8 issues. Maybe it's not. I can't give that away. But I've got it to where I want you to have theories, right? Of course, they're all going to be released at one time, but still, I think people will have fun with that. But anyway, the story's going on where you've got this vampire Dracula, which I don't really know if I'm going to call him Dracula yet. I'm still torn because the name means a lot, right? When I look at something and you told me, if I walked into Haven and you said, Mark, got a new Dracula book, I'm like, oh, man, how many Dracula books have I read? How many Dracula comics? But if you told me, Mark, I got a new vampire comic that's really good, oh, well, what is that? Because they've done Dracula to death, pun intended, I guess. So I wanted to have that the regalness of Dracula, but I don't know if I'm really going to call him that name. And you could see, like in the artwork, some of the preview artwork, he kills Vlad the Impaler, who is Dracula. So I always had it, even in the trading cards, it always says he's went by so many different names. Maybe he used the name Dracula at one time. Maybe he's going to use something different now. But basically, that vampire that you see is assembled a group. I can't really give away what he's done in the past, but as of right now in the 80s, he assembled a group, his monster squad, basically. You got the creature, you got the Frankenstein monster, Igor, the brides of Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, the werewolf, and the mummy. You got all these team that he has assembled because he's after this one artifact. All right, he's got to get his hands on this one thing, and you'll get to see why his motivations are that way. You have this other group that are called the Overmen. They're like Cobra. I don't know if I want to use the word, they always describe Cobra as a terrorist organization, but now that has so many different, implications and stuff. So I don't know if I can use that word or not, but it's
that's not really what they are anymore. I mean, a terrorist organization, they're more like their own little army. I mean, look at the outfits, look at the technology. Those guys are well funded.
Yeah, I mean, they basically they're more than a small, like, terrorist organization. It's almost like they're a country, right? Cobra.
Right. They created Cobra Island just for that purpose.
Right. So, but the group is kind of like that. I mean, you'll see some characters that you go, oh, that's kind of a throwback to so-and-so and all this. But basically, they formed out of Nazi Germany. This group did. Because the Overman is a term that they used back then for developing like superhuman soldiers and stuff.
Yep.
All right. So this group's after this artifact as well, and the Monster Slayer catches wind of this, and he's trying to stop them because he knows the ramifications of what might happen. And then also you have these two detectives, and this is also set in Alabama, and actually he's going to reference Huntsville a lot. Even the cops, you'll see that they have Huntsville badges on.
Nice.
Because
That just
I was
makes all
like,
the sense
y'all,
in the
what you
world that Alan
know?
and I would be in there then.
Yeah, you know what? I might have to sneak y'all guys in there because I am going to add a few pages to help with the dialogue when the letterer comes in. So I might have to add y'all in there somewhere. Y'all might get killed though. I can't help you.
I
cooler.
have no
Even cooler.
issue whatsoever being a battle-hardened detective that gets his head ripped off by the mummy.
Okay,
I was gonna say the
I might
werewolf
throw that
myself.
in there then, Alan. But these two detectives are solving these crimes that are happening. These people are dying, and that's throughout the books too. And they're trying to solve this mystery of who's killing these people. There's some weird things happening in and around this county. Cows are dying. Some kids have went missing. There's
Is there a dead
murders.
children's playground?
The what? Yeah. So I have they're trying to solve that and can't figure out because in their minds monsters don't exist, right? So and this basically this group of kids that I've not seen that in some of the concept art or the pages. They go on this adventure, so it's a little bit like Goonies. I mean, I got all kinds of references of movies that I love in there.
It's like a nostalgia fest, is what it sounds like,
It
and I
really
am
is.
100% here
The
for
way
it.
I'm making it sounds like, oh my gosh, it's just too much. But it's very simple. They say there's like 5 main people you follow, and it's the Slayer, the detectives, and the kids. They're the protagonists, right? And the monsters are the bad guys, and you're trying to see what their motivations are and why they're doing what they're doing. I got science fiction in there because I love science fiction from the 80s. I love fantasy. That's why I wanted to have that flashback. And that does, all of it pertains. When you get done with all the books, those 8, you'll be like, it makes sense. I understand why Mark did that over here in that flashback. Because
It all ties together. That's awesome. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things about Spawn, really, is you got modern Spawn, but then you got Gunslinger, and you've got medieval Spawn, and you've got all these Spawns during history. And I love those kind of threads. I like that Marvel has done that with Black Panther. They've done that with Iron Fist, Moon Knight. They've got this history that's built into these characters, and so you can explore any one of these characters across this timeline, and it's awesome every single time. And the Phantom. I mean, go back to the freaking Phantom. That's what the Phantom was, the ghost who walks, right? It had been since the 1600s. There has been a Phantom, and I love that, having that history built in. That's a lot of fun for me.
There is some big, huge twists in the series. That's why there's a lot of things I'm kind of avoiding.
Yeah.
But there is some twists that will make you go, what? And make you want to pick up the other books and read them again, because then you'll be like, I realize what he did. There's also some moments that'll make you, hopefully I'm bringing you to tears on some things, and then maybe I can make you shout at the comic on some other things. So,
if you're like Alan, you just throw the comic book across the room because you're like, hey,
I'm done with this.
I've done it. I have done it. Yeah.
But this series is chapter 1, basically. I look at it. It is called All That Remains. And that was going to be the title. It was going to be the title before Mark Spear's Monsters, but that's kind of easier for people to understand right at the bat. So basically, it's Mark Spear's Monsters, All That Remains. And that title is used a lot in the book, like actually in dialogue for different things, and you'll understand that. But I got to get this speech better when I do my video by next week. But basically, I was looking at it the other day. It's about, the whole series about broken people. The cop, one of the cops, the bigger guy, he's a broken guy. He's about to lose his job. They're letting him go in a week before all this stuff happens. And his wife has left him. He ain't got no money, and he don't know what he's going to do with his life.
So they wrote a country song about him.
This case. Then you got the Monster Slayer, who's got a lot of baggage on him. He quit being a Monster Slayer, and now he's coming back because he has to do what he's supposed to do one more time. So you have all this. Then you have these kids that are great kids. Modeled them after me and my friends growing up. So the dialogue is going to be a lot of like real what kids would say. And but I tell you, I think it's going to be great. I'm excited about the story. I just got to convey it a little bit better. Hopefully the video will show it all better. I'll show images. I'll break down each character, the protagonist, the antagonist a little bit, but it's got horror in it. And yeah, there's some gross scenes. And I was doing something today. I was looking at it. I was like, I might have pushed the envelope a little too far. Some people might go, Mark, that's too far. That's too gross, but I don't have no one to answer to. It's my own book. So I'm like, I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. So I think it's going to be great. I think if you like horror, you'll like it. Mystery, if you like it. Superhero, you would like it. And things from the 80s. I like nostalgia. To me, 80s and late 70s were a scarier time. If you think
it was the best time in the world to grow up.
So sometimes if something happened to you when you were a kid, you couldn't call on your cell phone back in the 80s to get the help. And something happens to these kids, they actually venture out to this house and they see something bad. They're having to run to a gas station to get to a phone booth, which today they just pop out their cell phone and call somebody. So I have a lot of things like that. And I always said I wanted it in the 80s before I started it. So I love Monster Squad, if you ever saw that. I'm a big fan of Monster Squad.
Never would have guessed.
In yours, I have to ask.
Yep.
Does Wolfman have nards?
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
Just does he have them and do you show them? Are two different questions.
I don't show the nards as so far that I'm thinking of. No, there's no nards in the comic. But the Wolfman's a really interesting character. That was probably the people seeing my art love the Wolfman the most of all the ones I do. Dracula would be second, maybe, and then Frankenstein's right behind that. So I kind of based the book on that. The Wolfman is really big in this story arc. The vampire Dracula character is pretty big too because he's the leader, and you get a little bit of Frankenstein. You get all the monsters because I didn't want it to be where you read these books and go, man, my favorite monster didn't show up. I got you covered. And there's a big battle at the end, so everybody gets to do something. So this was originally when I had it at 5 issues when Dark Horse was going to do it, and they made me going to cut it down to 4. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to scrap the last 2 issues and redo number 4 and make it this big knockout battle because that's what everybody's going to want to see, right? Everybody wants to see Frankenstein beat up somebody, the Wolfman beat up somebody, the creature, and all that stuff. So I started messing around with that, and then when Dark Horse said they weren't going to do it, I said, well, look, I've got so many. Let me just go ahead and finish it up. So I finished it up and got to 8, and I was like, okay. And I could have kept going. I would love to continue it to about 50 issues because there's so much I could tell. There's a lot of characters, and a lot of interesting characters to me, and what their motivations are. What makes someone a monster? Is it just the way they look? Is it their actions? And things like that. So that's why I really like the title Monsters, because am I talking about the Universal type guys? Am I talking about the Monster Slayer? Maybe he's horrible, So maybe the human guys, like the other guys, the Overman and stuff. So you never know who I'm really talking about there. So, but it's really interesting. I hope I can convey it to people easier. And when they see the pages, basically it was all written out to where I even thought about doing issues where there's no words. And I think you could, if you looked at it today, you could kind of get it without any words whatsoever. The G.I. Joe. The only thing is the twist you wouldn't understand because they have to be verbal. Right, well, you could show them, but it'd be hard to the way I've got it. So I'm really excited because I love comics that I look at and I go, I want to read that again. And a lot of times I'm reading the pictures and not even the words sometimes because it's just what they're conveying, the faces and everything. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for people to get their hands on it.
I'm excited too. I want to I want it.
Yeah, I want you to have it. So I'm hoping the Kickstarter does well because in a lot of different ways. Because one, it sends a message to the comic industry that hey, Mark's stuff will sell. You know, like if I ever pitch another idea, they would probably go, well, maybe we should. You know, so it sends that word out. It also helps me with probably finding more work, and then it also helps me make a living because you know I got to make a living doing something. So the covers are great. Like I said, I'm going to try to get interior books, but if I can get paid for this, for the work I've done these last 8 months, then I might go, okay, people loved it. I'm ready for the next 5 issues.
Well, if you're able to do like Brian Polito and just do your own thing and heck with everybody else, that dude makes good money doing exactly what he does and what he wants to do.
And I've looked at him. I've looked at all those guys, and I'm like, wow, that's the dream. I love working with DC. I love working with Spawn. But there's something about having your own characters and can do anything I want to with
total
them.
Creative freedom. Yep.
Yes, and I love that. And if I could make a living doing that, I would do it in a heartbeat tomorrow. If
yep.
And hopefully the Kickstarter will do so well that it'll make it to where I can do that. Where if I get enough followers on there and they go, man, we want more, then I would start the day after the Kickstarter ends on the next. I've already started on issue 9, but I haven't finished it. But I would get right on it because I don't know. This could fail miserably. If it somehow does, I have a backup where if it doesn't even hit 40, I'm going to put 40 as the minimum. I'm going to repackage it because there's people making 40, 50, 60, 70 on one issue, right? So I would repackage it as maybe issue just 1 through 3. And repackage it, put it back on Kickstarter, and have the thing start down at like 20,000. Or
what you could do is actually take all 8. Like if this one doesn't work out and you still want to kind of pursue it, you could take all 8 issues because I've seen this a lot on Kickstarter. Believe it or not, put all 8 issues in one collected work as a hardback.
Yeah, I looked at that. Because a lot of people were telling me, I like this, but I don't collect floppies anymore. And I'm like, okay. But I knew that, honestly, I would make more money if I do floppies. And that's the reason. I mean, it's all money oriented. I mean, that's
a lot of different things.
It's an optional, and I'm looking at that later on if it's successful. Or if it's successful, I'd still offer that option later on. Put them together. Add some more to the story so it's worth it for even buying it, maybe add like 10 pages you didn't know existed, something like that. But
well, the sales figures bear out pretty well across the board that books that sell as individual issues first sell better as trades versus things that just show up as trades. Because that's a big investment for people to make in like, oh, I don't know what this is, who this, I don't know who this is or what this is. I'm going to spend this much money versus this much money. People are a lot more willing to go the lower price point generally of floppies than they are to start with a trade. And there's something about building excitement because, hey, man, did you read this book? This is awesome. You need to read the trade.
Yeah.
And that process has been shown in multiple iterations over the years that things that sell in floppies first sell as trades better than things that just start as trades.
Yeah, I think that's why I want to go that route right now. But it could change if this isn't successful. The thing is, I do have a big following with the Spawns, with the Power Ranger people and stuff. I just have to get the eyeballs on it, right?
Yep.
To go get that audience out there. I'm going to post in all kinds of Reddits, groups, everything I can. I'm going to have press releases. Because you got to think, if I can just get about 1,000 backers, I don't care what it brings in, that'd be enough, right? Because I think
that'd be a pretty good run, yeah.
That'd be a good run. To get that though, how? So I'm gonna do everything I can to try to get the audience to know out there that I'm doing this. And honestly, I think if they can get to the Kickstarter page, the Kickstarter will sell itself. 8 issues, art's already done. It's guaranteed to come out. I'm probably going to have it released maybe April, May, because it's more the letterer I have to worry about. The letterer's got to get all 8 done. He might sit there and go, Mark, what you give me for this page ain't going to work. You got too much. Well, then I'm going to add a page here and there, because I can do that. So because I want to, the biggest thing to me is the story. The overall story's got to be perfect. So I figured, 2-3 months for that. And then also with the CGC stuff, I was going to offer CGC books since I'm a member of them. And I don't want, like, say if Alan got a CGC, one of mine, and you got a regular, I don't want you to get yours and he's got to wait 2 months. So I wanted to go ahead and have all the CGC books ordered and at my house, signed or whatever I got to do, sent into CGC, back from CGC, then everybody gets theirs. So that way you're not waiting more. So that's why it's probably going to be April or May, just because CGC is going to be about, they're about 2 months at least. So
at least,
which I could do a rush order on it, but that's $15 more.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
No. So that's why I don't know how many people would really want the CGC, but I thought I would offer it as an option because I've got a good reputation over there and do it with them. So, but yeah, it's really just the eyeballs on it. So tell everybody you know, and everybody you don't know that the Kickstarter starts next week. And I want to do something with comic book stores too, because comic book stores are my lifeblood as well. Like if you don't exist, I don't get to do DC covers or Spawn covers or Power Ranger covers. Yep. So I want to do something to where if maybe you can think all this and figure out a way I could help, I'd love to contact comic book stores and say, look, I know you think you're not getting any revenue because I'm doing a Kickstarter. And you're like, well, that gets me out of it. If there was some way I could track the people like from Haven that went over there and bought that, then I could say, okay, Josh, you sent these people over here. Here's your haul of all these valuable covers for free for you sending that many people. Now you could sell them in your store, right? All these variant covers or something. Or it's like, here's your free retailer copies. And now you get 100% of the revenue. Because here's the thing, it's worth, honestly, the retailer market, well, like we talked about before, is not really going to bump it up much for me, right? Because we're talking about, 20 retailers at the max, maybe 10 I'll get to even, who knows, maybe more. But let's just say
I've got a list I can put you in touch with, or ones that I think that you should reach out to because they would be more willing to take a shot on something like this.
Okay.
And some of those have pretty big stores.
Well, see, if they would, if that's what I'm saying, the person, their customer is worth more to me than them buying some retail issues. But if I can incentivize them, send your guys over here, and for everyone, if there's somehow I could track that, I would be like, hey, I'll give you these issues for you to sell, or I'll come do it. If there's in the Southeast, I can do signings for free. Go up there and sign whatever copies they got for free and do all that kind of stuff. But I'm trying to figure out something there that would incentivize. Because look, think about this: if 5 comic book stores got their guys to come back my Kickstarter, that's probably enough. I mean, there's 50 to 100 people from each store that would go do it, along with the people I probably already got. Well, then I've already made a success. So I just got to figure out what would motivate a comic book store owner to want to send business my way, unless I can help them get some business their way. And that's what I'd like to do. If it's retail copies at a great discount, if it's those variant incentive covers to where they're like, oh, Mark only did 100 of these and he's giving me 10 of them. Then they could take that on eBay. They could sell it in their store, whatever. So
you could probably do something like that on BackerKit. You could probably put a questionnaire in there that they've got to fill out. Did what comic book store sent you to me?
Yes.
Something like that might work.
Yes. If I could do that, that would be great. Because I mean, like Ed talked to me, like saying, hey, he's had a lot of people ask about it, and he said, I'm just sending them over there to you, and he wanted to know if he was going to do a retailer tier. But it's the same thing where I don't want retailers to lose money either. I think there's enough to go around for everybody, and we can all be happy. But I want to help retailers out. I know if I had my comic book store right now, I would be like, well, why do I want to send people over to Alan's Kickstarter, I don't get nothing from it, right? Yeah. So you want to have something there to help everybody, to help the retailers, to help the customers, and everybody's happy, and everybody gets along. So
yeah, I get why a lot of stores do not want to participate or talk to or doing anything about. That's right. Uh, do anything about Kickstarters and things like that. I get why they don't want to. I absolutely 100% get it because even a lot of times the retailer tiers where you can order multiple copies of the book or whatever, the deals aren't really that good.
exactly,
And you're still taking a risk on a book, right? It's still going to be a risk. I absolutely get that. But by that same token, I also think if I want creators that I want to see them successful,
yeah,
I kind of have to put my money where my mouth is a little bit, right? If
yeah.
I want to keep getting this awesome book by this awesome person, they need to be able to do that and make a living.
Exactly, yeah.
So for me, it's a little bit of that. For me, it's also just, how much do I want to personally back something versus how much do I want the store to back it?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a difference. Sometimes, like, I know I can't sell this book, but by God, I think it's awesome.
Right.
So I want it. So there's a lot of things to weigh, and I get why stores would have some heartburn with that, and some of them just refuse to participate in it because they don't see a way to be profitable. But I think there's some things you could do that would make them interested. I know, what was the company? Crap, what was the name of that company? They did the Garth Ennis book called Sarah about the Russian sniper in World War I or World War II. I forget the name of the company off the top of my head, but they did a thing where somebody bought something, because this was just off their website. If you bought something and you put in the name of your LCS,
yeah,
they would send a chunk of change, like a percentage of money, to the store for sending them over there. And a lot of people still are very paranoid. They're just trying to steal our customers. Like, what are they going to steal your customers, man? They publish like 7 books.
Yeah.
Do what?
TKO Studios.
TKO. That was TKO. Yeah.
So if anybody's wondering about the ticker, that's because I'm a jerk, and that's basically geared at 2 people, technically 3 people right now.
That's correct.
The schmack talk never stops, Nick. Never.
But that's something that they did. But there's certainly things you could do, and I don't think any stores are going to get upset about, hey, my people went and bought this book, and as a result, you sent me a copy of the book,
right?
That I put on the shelf and sell. I mean, who's going to get mad at that?
No, exactly. Yeah. Well, think on it, and if you could think of something within the next 5 days, and I can get up there on the reward thing about, because the retailer tier is the one I'm stuck on, right? We talked about it earlier.
Yep. It's a hard balancing act, especially if you're putting out 8 issues at once. Because most retailers they'll buy the first one and see how it sells, and then make their order determinations on the second one. Yep. 8 issues all at once, that's a leap of faith. It is.
It's like, exactly. So I think a lot of them, I don't even know if I would do retailer tier for the other ones. Maybe just issue 1. And then if it does well, they can come back and say, Mark, I'd like to have some more. Number 2, I could do that.
That might be a possibility, yeah.
Yeah, because I know if I was ordering it for a store, I would be like, why the heck would I want 8 issues of this when the first one might suck? Right.
Yep.
So I would just maybe offer the retailer. Well, that would be easier for me. There's only 1 retailer copy, and it's issue 1, right? Then I don't really have to mess with others until I see, hey, this did well. People liked it. They want more. Now I'll do a retail order of number 2, the number 3. No.
Now, we talked about this earlier, and I just had a thought. Just make one of the covers, just that cover, a straight retailer cover. You can't get it if you're not a retailer.
Yeah. That's what I was going to do. Is I was going to pick one cover and say, this is the retail version.
Yeah. Whichever one you think would stand out the best on the shelf,
right,
with a whole lot of other comics vying for attention from readers, make that the retailer cover.
Right. And I was going
Because
to
that
have
encourages your folks who are desperate, like I'm an individual backer, but I really want that cover. They'll seek it out at an LCS.
Exactly. I was going to say they can't get that cover because some people will say, Mark, I want every single cover. They're going to spend a fortune, right? They want everything. I still would refuse to give them that retailer because that's what I'm saving for retailers. So that makes them happy going, okay, they're going to come to my store. Or if you have to take it to eBay, like you're a retailer and you're like, can't sell these, but I'll put them on eBay because everybody wants them.
Now, the other thing you could do too, I just now thought of this. If you make that a retailer only cover,
Yeah.
You could do a thing where you have some kind of a recognition or something that you would put out as a prize for people who are like hunters, right? You could create hunters, the people who get all the covers.
Yeah.
And the ones who they get out and then they get the retailer cover too. Maybe you pop them up on your Instagram like, we have a certified hunter here.
You got them all. Yeah, Monster Hunter. That's pretty good. I like that Monster
I mean,
Hunter.
that's a cool little thing that you can do, and people are then part of a club.
Yeah,
it doesn't cost you anything, right? As a creator,
like
it's inclusive. It brings people in, and all you got to do is show me you got them all.
Yep. I like
with
that.
a coin photo or something, and you've got people who are hunters. Maybe you send them a certificate or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that could be fun.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. I think I definitely want to do a retailer. Like I said, in the end, it might only make me $100 doing retailer stuff, but it's still, I want to have a good reputation with these stores, or no matter where they're at in the United States. And I want to, if they're close, I'll go by there and sign them and stuff too. But I think that would be great. And to offer that cover, and then like you give somebody something like you said to seek out. Maybe they can go and find that cover. But I thought about doing that, and I might just do it on issue 1, and then we'll see how it goes. Issue 2 through 8, because again, I don't see a comic book store unless they just love me to death, want to carry every book. Of course, Haven could. I could see that.
We will.
I might do that. I think it would. That would be good. I'll also talking about that. I want to get on news locally here. Because I've always kind of hidden away until last year. I hadn't been to cons, nothing like that. But I'm going to try to see if I can get 48, 31.
Oh, what is that?
Well, Greg at Channel 31 is a big comic book fan.
Oh, Craig or Greg? Greg?
Yeah.
Greg Screws? Is that
yes,
him?
Sir. Yes,
sir.
I
didn't know. I'll write him and see.
Yeah, he's a comic book fan.
It's a big thing to where a local comic artist who's doing stuff for DC and Spawn and stuff like that is doing his own thing finally. First time you get to get my interiors and stuff. And I think it's it's a feel-good story for around here.
Yeah, local boy makes good. You can't go wrong with that.
Right. And it can bring some people into the comic book stores, right? It might bring a few in going, oh, y'all remember Mark? I want to get something. So
yeah, Greg Screws is a comic book fan.
This might be a stretch, but on Channel 48, that Peyton Walker, she does that Tennessee Valley Living.
Okay, let me write that down.
Where they kind of like cover different stuff going on in Tennessee Valley or different stuff around here. That might be an option.
See, I think that would be good too. That's what I'm thinking. What was the last name? Morning?
Peyton Walker.
Oh, Walker. Okay. And that is what? 30? Is that?
That's 48.
48 news. Okay. But yeah, I was thinking, they do a lot of this stuff during the afternoon where they're, slice of life, whatever's happening. Jeremy's been on a lot of those things.
Well, they're starting. They wouldn't cover the expo for the longest time, but when he started bringing in guests like William Shatner, they're like, "Ooh, can we come and talk to you about your expo?" And he's like, "We've been doing this for 7 years now. We've been trying to get you guys to come out here, but yeah."
Yeah, hopefully, maybe if I reach out to all of them, maybe one of them will take a bite and want to do something. And then I'm going to do press releases. Alabama.com. I'm going to try to do, see if I can get on something there, because basically it's all eyes on the project. If they don't see it, they won't know about it. And
that's right.
I still get people saying, I didn't know you did a Kickstarter for trading cards. And I'm like, yep. They just oblivious to it. So,
man, we still have people who come past Haven and they walk in the door and they're like, we didn't know you were here. Like, we've been open for 22 years.
Yeah.
I would if you can do it to where you could get like that Peyton Walker, or since she does the Tennessee Valley Living or any of the others that do stuff like that,
Yeah.
if they could interview you at a comic book store.
That's what I was going to mention. If any of those want to talk to me, I'd rather not come here. I'll come up to Haven and we'll
Love
talk.
that.
We can have some of my. You probably have some spawn sitting there, or if not, I'll bring some from here. We'll just scatter them in the background, and but I think that'll be great. Be great for Haven, and then it'll also be great for me to get the word out. So
Yeah, that'd be
definitely
spectacular.
I'll
We
do
can do
that.
that.
I'll tell them to meet me at Haven Comics if they want to interview me. So that'd be perfect, dude.
All right, everybody, it is time for us to shut it down for the night. You guys have a great night. We're taking next Thursday off. It's Thanksgiving, and we're going to let you guys give thanks for not having to watch our ugly mugs.
Speak for
but we will
yourself.
be back. We'll be back the week after. So you guys all have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving with family and friends, or at the movie theater or whatever it is. Enjoy your time off from work. Have a great Thanksgiving. And read some comics.
Yep.
Because it's a great thing to do when you got your day off. And we will catch you guys next time.